Okay, what is sanity? I think that's a great question. Um, Super basic, important question. Um, I mean, what the heck are we doing here? I think sanity means different things to a lot of people, maybe to everybody. We have our own definitions of it. And, for some people it means manageable, like a manageable day, a manageable work week, or marriage, or whatever, just not feeling overwhelmed with the things you need to do. It's a sane day, sane week. For other people, it's like the opposite of crazy, whatever that means. The way that I'm thinking of it is more, the internal kind of way we approach or react to, interact with ourselves and with the world. So that kind of encompasses a lot. But I would say that to do that in a sane way would be to interact and react to what is actually happening, or what is actually real. And I know that can be, argued about sometimes. But to not be in our own worlds, basically, of imagination, fantasy, which can be wonderful, which can be scary, which can be all kinds of different things. Thinking about the past, things that actually did happen, or the way that we remember them, or our interpretations are. I can say for sure that for a lot of my life, it feels a little different now, definitely. But I was completely caught up in my own version of things, let's put it that way. Is my version, is not what really happened. Not, for the most part, what was really going on. A lot more just dominated by what I was afraid of, for sure. What I needed, what I wanted, fantasy, lots of different ways. Fantasies about success, or about, like, romance. But I would say that a lot of the time it was painful, and it was chaotic, and that's what it is a lot of the time. Maybe if it were just constructive, there is constructive imagination, I think, but for the most part we are in some other world that doesn't necessarily cause us any pleasure or growth. Or what seems like pleasure later on is not pleasure, because we don't measure up to whatever fantasy we saw or imagined. Or we can walk around scared of stuff that isn't really there. I'll give you a little example, since I talked about this last video a little bit. I mentioned it. The low level kind of like paranoia that I feel, that I experience. So I can feel it right now, because where I'm sitting here, I'm sitting in front of a glass door that looks out the back here, where I am. In the back are four houses, with windows, obviously. And I am, the whole time I'm sitting here, thinking or feeling more, like not thinking really, feeling somehow that there's somebody in one of those windows watching me, looking at me, judging me, up to no good, nefarious ideas about me. Which of course I'm laughing because it's ridiculous. Number one, if there are people in those houses right now, 2 of them are not even occupied, I don't think, which makes it even more ridiculous. But if there are people in those houses, number one, they're probably not awake yet because it's pretty early. And number 2, they have better things to do than to sit or stand in front of a window peering out at me, some guy in the back, across the way. Who cares? You know what I mean? That is not real. That is not reality. And yet I feel it. And it is not pleasant. And it is ever present within me. I mean, when I'm sitting outside during the day sometimes, like, just having a calm moment, it's there and I can feel it, because it's the thing that isn't appropriate, and I can feel it. It's not real. It's not a reaction to something that's actually going on. And I, like, in the last, years or whatever, have become a lot more able to, like, feel that, to sense that it is not accurate. I like that word too, accurate. It's not relevant. It is not a reaction to what is actually happening in the world. And I think way too often I'm, like, drawn in one way or another into some insane loop or path in my brain and my thinking. So that's it's one little example. But I can imagine too, knowing that I feel this, I can imagine too what it's like for people who have that to a much higher degree, and how hard that is, and how difficult to deal with and to, like, come out of it, step out of it. So I think it's a nice way to think about things. I think this sanity or insanity thing, where I feel like we kind of all have all of this stuff at various times, maybe sometimes worse than other times, focused on certain things. Like, I have a lot of fear and anxiety about the outside world, about you guys, about strangers who I perceive as threats, like, for real. And then, in the past I would avoid people, basically. I'd be very nervous around people and stuff. Less now. Because now I think I'm more in reality, and I can see that people are not threats. The kitties are hunting a mouse outside. People are not threats, for the most part. There is some chance that there is a scary person in that house back there watching me right now. There is some chance. With binoculars, looking the whole deal. But what's the likelihood of that? So, in any case, that's the deal. That's what I'm talking about. I really think that I know that over the years now, my greatest, I don't know, the good thing, achievement, good thing that has happened to me is less insanity, more reality. And I'm so grateful that I'm more in reality now. It's so much more calm. Relaxed. I'm relaxing more and more. Less anxiety, stress, for sure. Less wildness in my body and my mind. So thank you. A little bit about that. Thank you for being here.